Hey everybody, how's it going? Good Tuesday morning. It's a pretty interesting Tuesday morning for the Seattle Seahawks and their fans. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going on starting today with the 3-day mandatory team minicamp. Before I get into that, though, one quick piece of housekeeping. The Seahawks announced they have signed cornerback Will Sunderland, who went undrafted last year out of Troy and spent part of his rookie season on the Colts practice squad. This is per Brady Henderson on Twitter, verified in other places. I don't know a ton about Will Sunderland. The most I can say is that he's very Seahawky in his build. He's 6'2" and 196 pounds. I looked him up a little bit. It seems like he has the length and arm wingspan that the Seahawks tend to covet in cornerbacks. I know we've been kind of getting away from that in recent, I'd say the last year or so, but yeah, Will Sunderland, probably just a camp body. He replaces the open roster spot left by Ladarius Wiley. As much as cornerback is kind of contentious spot on the team this year, a lot of people are not very happy with the cornerback position on this team right now. A lot of people feel like we could get better there. That's why people want to trade for Gilmore. That's why people want to sign Richard Sherman. I don't think there's a lot of room for a borderline roster capable player. We have a lot of guys on this team who are just kind of okay, like a Pierre Desir, Trey Flowers, Demarius Randall. A lot of guys on this team who can be just good enough to justify a roster spot. So I don't know if there's a future for Will Sunderland on this team, but he does have Seahawks type attributes, and we have seen cornerbacks come out of nowhere before on this team the last 10 years. I've gone over the list before, but Brandon Browner, Richard Sherman, Byron Maxwell, to Jeremy Lane, Justin Coleman. Stuff happens. Stuff happens. So we'll see. All right, so on to the main event. The Seahawks are opening a mini camp today. By the time you're watching this video, they probably already started. So by now, you may already be able to go online and get some good information about how the team looks so far. And this is going to be our first real opportunity to see this team start to come together, because there wasn't much media availability during the OTAs, and of course the rookie minicamps, very few people are there. I know that Tyler Lockett showed up as well, so very few players are not present. I think the big ones are Chris Carson and Jamal Adams, and there are a couple other stragglers as well, but pretty much everybody's there at this point. So now we're going to actually start learning stuff. Pretty much everyone's there. Everyone's going to have an opportunity to show what they can do and justify their spot on this team. So Seahawks.com has this article, 5 storylines to watch at 2021 Seahawks minicamp. I thought as good a place as any to start would be to go through this article and give my thoughts on it, and we'll see how my storylines to watch stack up to John Boyle's. Before we get into his 5 storylines, the storyline that might be the most interesting, because don't get it twisted, minicamp's interesting, but to say we're going to learn a ton, it's not like Shane Waldron's going to show every little secret of his playbook right now, right? He's not going to run his whole offense right now. He's just, no, you're not going to see that. So all you can do is get whatever little pieces of information you can out of the beat writers on Twitter and hope it actually amounts to something. But the really compelling storyline might be who doesn't show up. I already mentioned Jamal Adams supposedly isn't there yet. Him missing all the OTAs was not surprising and could be indicative of him just deciding to exercise the fact that they're optional. But these minicamps, this minicamp is supposed to be mandatory. So if Jamal Adams does not show up today, that may be an indication that he's not going to show up until he gets a new contract, which, again, I've been over this topic many times, and I'll say it again. I think that it benefits both him and the team to extend him now rather than later. But I suspect that if we don't see Jamal Adams today, we as of you watching this video, you may already know whether or not Jamal Adams is there. it might be an indication that he's not going to show up until he gets his contract. So that's the number one story. And if something develops with the Jamal Adams situation, that's probably the biggest thing going on with this team right now. It's not quite Aaron Rodgers holding out, but it would be a pretty big deal. So that's the number one storyline. Let's talk about stuff that will happen on the field now rather than everywhere except the field. All right, so John Boyle, storyline number one, are there early frontrunners in the cornerback competition? Yes, this is definitely one of the big storylines in these mini camps. We know that DJ Reed is very likely to have a starting spot locked up at outside corner unless he just completely falls off from last year. But past that, we don't know. I think it's going to be Ahkello Witherspoon, but I would not be shocked if Trey Flowers, I know he was bad in 2020, but don't be shocked if he gets his stuff together a little bit and pushes Witherspoon for that starting spot and might even take it day one or early in the season. Guys like Demarius Randall and Pierre Brown, I'm not quite so optimistic they can take a starting spot. Trey Brown, maybe. Trey Brown is interesting because I, I don't know. I like Trey Brown well enough. I'm not convinced he's going to be good day one. I don't have any negative things to say about him. I just kind of have a feeling that there may be a feeling out process for him in the NFL. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And what we see from the cornerbacks in minicamp could inform whether or not we trade for Gilmore. So yeah, definitely one of the big storylines. Okay, John Boyle storyline number two. Do any offensive linemen push for spots in the presumed starting five? I can't see this one. I don't see it. Dwayne Brown's obviously starting at left tackle. Gabe Jackson is obviously starting at right guard because we traded for him. Damian Lewis is obviously starting at left guard. He moves over from right. Now, supposedly there's going to be a competition between Posick and Kyle Lewis. I don't see it. I know Posick is not that good. I know he has problems, but Kyle Lewis probably does not belong on an NFL roster in a just universe. He probably should be on a practice squad. He's not very good. I don't see it. And I know Carroll keeps talking about Cedric Ogbuehi, but I cannot see him outplaying Shell. I'm not saying Shell is perfect, but I believe he's clearly better than Ogbuehi based off what we saw last year. Ogbuehi had good moments, and we did re-sign him to a contract, so we liked him well enough to do that. But I do not think that Shell can be pushed off that spot. So as of right now, in my estimation, the only thing on the offensive line that's really worth watching for is, will Ethan Posick look bad enough for us to go acquire a new center? Somebody like a Austin Ryder in free agency, or Jason Kelsey through a trade, or waiting for him to get cut. But I cannot see any of our backups pushing any of our starters. Okay, storyline number three. How is Daryl Taylor adjusting to his new dual role? Daryl Taylor looked really good in the rookie mini camps. We know that because everyone was talking about it. He was kind of the toast of the town for the rookie mini camps, I thought, along with Dwayne Eskridge. So I feel good about where he is right now, but at the end of the day, he was practicing against other rookies and other low-level players. He was not practicing against starters. He was not practicing against the offense going at full board. Not that he will be now. I mean, these are still mini camps. It's got to be understood that the team is not going to be playing at 100%, going all full pads and tackling people and trying to force no, you're not going to see that. But he did look very good against, tackling dummies. He looked very good against players who are unlikely to make the team. So, we need to see something good coming from him against starters. Can Daryl Taylor get a pass rush going against a Dwayne Brown or even a Brandon Shell or even a Cedric Ogbuehi? Can he do it against those guys? Can he read the run? Can he cover adequately when he's not called on to play Leo, when he's not called on to rush the passer? It's going to get harder with each and every day we bring in new players. There's a big difference between going up against Josh Johnson and Connor Weddington and going up against Chris Carson. Big difference between going up against Tyler Mabry and going up against Will Dissly and Gerald Everett. So definitely interesting to watch. I like where the Taylor experiment is headed so far, but definitely worth watching. Storyline number 4 from John Boyle, excuse me. The D-line rotation. Yes, this is fascinating to me, and the reality is we're not really going to know all that much until the season starts, maybe until the preseason starts, but we are deep at the defensive line right now. We don't have any one all-pro type player or even necessarily Pro Bowl type player, but we have a lot of good guys who can get it done, and I'm interested to see how we utilize them and how we try to balance out snap counts because I don't see how Benson Mayo is going to get that many snaps this year. I don't, but I'm excited to see how this team tries to tries to find room for him. If they can find a way to make it so no defensive lineman's playing more than like 35 snaps a game, that's going to be really good. We're going to benefit tremendously from that. And I also want to see how Al Woods looks because he's a guy who may very well end up getting cut before the season so we can bring in Fletcher Cox or Geno Atkins or the Akeem Hicks. So going to be worth watching for that. And yeah, I'm very very interested to see how this D line rotation works. And John Boyle's final storyline to watch, what rookies stand out. This is kind of a given. I think every team in the league has a collection of rookies that are worth watching in the mandatory minicamp because, again, when you're playing in the rookie minicamps, you're not playing against elite competition. You're playing against bottom of the barrel competition. You're playing against guys who are unlikely to make the team in many cases. But now they get to play against the starters. Now they get to play against guys who are going to make the roster. Dwayne Eskridge, that's a big deal. Dwayne Eskridge needs to be good for us, and he needs to be good for us this year. If Dwayne Eskridge does not have at least 500 yards from scrimmage plus productive special teams play, then not only does the pick look bad, but the pick looks doubly bad because making the Dwayne Eskridge selection is probably part of the reason why we did not trade for Julio Jones. I suspect, we'll never know, but I suspect that if we had drafted, say, Creed Humphrey, just as an example, because I know a lot of people like Creed Humphrey, I think we may very well have used our draft capital next year that we have decided to now hold on to trade for Julio to give us 3 decent receivers. So Eskridge has big shoes to fill in his first year, and it's not totally his fault. He can't have known about a butterfly effect like that. But I feel like if Eskridge does not have a big season this year, it's going to hurt extra because there was a readily available solution to address the receiver issue on the trade block. And I think taking Eskridge really kind of, in our minds anyway, may have handcuffed us into not making that trade. And of course, you have Trey Brown and Stone Forsythe. Undrafted, there are going to be definitely a couple of eyes on guys like Tamorian Terry and Cade Johnson. I just don't think they're going to get on the field very much as rookies. I would have been really interested to see Nick Gugimos, but he's gone, so that cannot happen. And yeah, that's really about it in terms of the rookies that I'm super interested in. There are other guys too, like Jake Curhan and Jared Hawker, but we'll have to wait and see if they actually make some kind of a big splash impact. The only other thing I can think of is I want to see what Will Dissly looks like in these mini camps because I kind of went over it in a video a few days ago. But if Dissly can prove he belongs in the league as a number 1 tight end, and we have 2 number 1 tight ends this year, that could change the way this offense looks dramatically. You could see us running a lot of 2 tight end sets. So if Dissly can handle it, that would be interesting. It would take a lot of pressure off our receivers. So I'm going to get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. I'll make a video later once we collect some information about what's going on at the VMAC, but those are my takes on what to watch for. Let me know what you're watching for down below in the comments, and I'm out.